All right, welcome to Hoops Tracker. Jerry Howard, your host. Wow, we had some awesome games last night in the Sweet 16. Woo! All I can say, there were some upsets. There was some great games, overtime games. Man, let's dive into it. Let's see where we are with everybody. Remember, we're on our trip to the Elite Eight this weekend, and on the boys side, for 5A and 6A, those teams are almost set, and we'll get into that explanation in a second. Playoff coverage, man, we've got some great players. Let's dive into let's actually dive in here really quick. We are going to start with 5A. Wow. Green Mountain 16 seed. Coach Puccio, Simons Lunsford goes into Lutheran and beats Lutheran with Cade Speckman, one of the top prospects in the 2026 class. Man, wow. Simon Lunsford, 20 points. Trey Gutierrez, 12 points. They take down the number one seed. And let's go to the next game. Sand Creek upsets Cheyenne Mountain. And what's crazy about that is Elijah Brethrens, he has 14 points. Matthew Stark, 6'1 senior, he has 10 points or 9 points. But man, what a great game. Who would have thought the Elite Eight, a 16 seed and a 25 seed? Sand Creek continues to upset and take out teams. This is going to be a great matchup. When we looked at the beginning of the season, Green Mountain was one of our top 5 teams. Man, they are playing lights out, and it's because of Simon Lunsford. He is back. All right, Mountain View Falcon. Why is that game not recorded? Well, it's not recorded because they play tonight, Wednesday night. Apparently, there was a school thing. So they are the last one to go. We've got Montrose taking out Durango. This is their third time, I believe, meeting, and they win. They move on to the Elite Eight. Mesa Ridge, Thomas Jefferson. Bryce Reel continues to do his thing and lead this team. Coach Joel Babbitt. These guys are undefeated. They are like 23-0, 24-0. They have not lost since game 1 of this season, and they are 2-time state defending champs. They are the real deal. Lutheran's out of the picture. So now the question is, who's going to be able to beat this team? You got Stanley Lake gets a big win over Lewis Palmer last night. Not the only big game. Well, that was a big game in Westminster, but there was another big game at 6A that we will get to. But Ashland Serlin, sophomore, 6'10, 17 points. Senior point guard Derek Sims, 13 points. They solidify that win against Lewis Palmer and Bill Benton. And then Windsor Longmont, Madden Smiley, John Backhouse. These guys, I mean, this Longmont team has had so much adversity this season through injuries and players getting injured, whether on the court, off the court. But Windsor takes care of business. They move on to the Elite Eight, and Dakota Ridge beats Palmer 72-51. Ethan Berninger, 24 points, gets the final dunk in the game. These guys are on a mission. Last year, they had an early exit. They meet up with Windsor in the Elite Eight. These two teams, man, this is going to be a great matchup. Windsor, Dakota Ridge, Madden Smiley, Ethan Berninger. Let's see how this goes. The games are Friday night. Mesa Ridge, Stanley Lake. I'm not sure. I mean, we'll see about Stanley Lake, but this Mesa Ridge team, they are very athletic. They command the boards. They'll see how they do against the big Ashland Serlin. We'll see about who's going to play Montrose, whether that's Falcon or Mountain View. Green Mountain Sand Creek, like we said, who thought and who saw that one coming? Nobody saw that one coming. Let's jump over to 6A and let's walk through. All right, Rangeview. I believe this is the third or fourth time they've played GW. They take care of business. They win by 30. Um, Kenny, I think Kenny Black knocks 23 points. Ladavian had 18. Archie had 17. Marcellus had 11. This team is still undefeated and they are on a roll. All right, Grandview Regis, what a game. This Grandview team, Coach Ryan Turk has had them performing on all cylinders. They come up 3 points short against Regis. Eric Fiedler, 27 points. Lucas Dickinson, 18 points. They go and they earn a spot in the Elite Eight to go play Rangeview, which that will be a great game. We'll talk about that in a second. Valor takes care of business against Arapahoe. You know, Miles McConaughey for Arapahoe, 18 points, but Colshire, 16, Brady Winges, 17. They do a great job. They move on. Remember, Valor is defending state champions. And then we were at this South Ralston Valley game. Man, this game was great. You had Dominic Martinez, you had Tanner Burketta going against each other. You had Brody Shepard, you had Damian Durden, you had Matthew Martinez, you know, Christian Cobb, you know, Jaden Davis. Now, what was interesting in this game, Dominic Martinez has 25, Tanner has 21, Damian Durden and Brody Shepard both had 15, Christian Cobb with 10. What was very surprising, Jaden Davis, who usually is double digits, has been huge for them this season. Ralston Valley was able to shut down. He only had 1 point. Like we said, Tanner had 21, Zeke and Caden had 14, Samson Wright, 16 points, had a couple of big threes where he stepped out and showed his range. But this RV team, they move on. Man, they are so good. They were hitting on all cylinders. Lots of help from the bench. But this South team, they fought back. It was within 5 with less than a minute to go, and they were close. They had a couple of turnovers. Big three by Brody Shepard, Damian Durden. They were back in it, but just couldn't quite pull it off. Great game. Eagle Crest A West. Now, this was an interesting game. You know, Eagle Crest has been playing teams, but they have their system and they just do what they do, and they outlasted Arvada West. This game was close. We'll see. You know, no stats are up yet, but Eagle Crest moves on. And then Thunder Ridge, Fruita Monument. We thought this game would be a lot closer. Cale Carney had 23. Ulysses had 13. Drew Payne with 10, but Cale Carney comes up big. They are able to control and hold Daniel Thomason and Jet Wells, both great players on the Western Slope. You're going to hear a lot more about these guys. DT, you know, he's going to be playing in the show All-Star game, but he's going to be at Metro this year, in this fall. And then Jet Wells, one of the top players in the 26 class. Now, Mountain Vista Overland. Woo! Overtime game. Not only one, but double overtime. Mountain Vista pulls out and endures and outlasts Overland 88-77. Man, this Overland team, they've had so many games in overtime and they have not quite been able to pull it out. But man, what a game. Oliver Junker blows up 30 points. Cal Baskin with 20, Hudson Rooney with 18. This Overland team is loaded with talent. College coaches, there are some great players on that team that you need to be recruiting. Siraj Ali, Dante Graham, Israel, the post player that just came back. Huge talent pool there. And then Chaparral at Rock Canyon. This was going back and forth. Chaparral pulls it out at the end. But what a great Continental League matchup. Jacob David with 26 points, Kason Lehman with 19. They take care of business. Now, all right, where are we? Let's do a quick count here on where we're at. Continental League still has 4 teams, right? You got Mountain Vista, Shap, Thunder Ridge, and Regis. They have 4 teams left. Last week, the Centennial League had 4. They're down to 1, and that's Eagle Crest. This matchup here, Mountain Vista, Chaparral, man, they know each other well. Big battle. Mountain Vista pulled off the win at the end of the season to take the Continental League. Chaparral, we already know they're right. Luke Howery, Christian Williams, they are loaded. But this Mountain Vista team, Oliver Junker, Cal Baskine, you've got great matchups here. We're going to see. This Shap team is pretty young. They've got size. They've got Luke Williams, who will be a great matchup against Oliver Junker. But man, I love Oliver Junker's game. Very athletic post. D1 coaches, you need to be all over this kid. He is the real deal, quality kid. All right, Eagle Crest, Thunder Ridge. Woo! This is a rematch of last year's semifinal game, and Eagle Crest lost by 2. These teams are loaded. They know each other well. Thunder Ridge, Coach Joe Ortiz, Coach Jarris Crapsha at Eagle Crest. Man, this is going to be a great elite game, Elite 8 game. We're looking forward to it. I mean, Eagle Crest is loaded, right? Anthony Nettles playing phenomenally right now. You've got Garrett Barger. You've got Lucas Kalimba. You've got Quincy York. I mean, man, you've got great players all sides, right? Kale Carney playing great. Ulysses played really great in this last game for Thunder Ridge. Drew Payne, again, one of the top post players in the 26 class. Man, what a great matchup. Valor, Ralston Valley. Jeffco matchup. Jeffco has 2 in the Elite 8. Who would have thought? But you got to remember, defending state champions, these 2 tied in the league. Ralston Valley won the tiebreaker. Now, let's see what these matchups are. Tanner Burkita, Cole Schur. Caden Burkita. You've got Zeke Andrews, big post player. Samson Wright. You've got Brady Winja. Man, and Chris Burkita and Jeff Platt as coaching this game. Man, this is another great Elite 8 game. All of these teams that are in the Elite 8 are definitely worthy, and they all have a legitimate shot at winning the title. And then Rangeview Regis. Woo! All right, Rangeview, the only City League team. Regis, another Continental League team. But you've got great matchups here. You've got Eric Fiedler. You got Lucas Dickinson. Regis has got a great little point guard. But Rangeview has got LaDavian King, Archie Witherspoon, Kenny Black Knox, Aiden Perez, Marcellus Duncan. They've got a deep bench, and this is why they're the #1 seed and they're undefeated. One thing I didn't note was Eagle Crest. Who are the teams undefeated in state? Eagle Crest and Rangeview. So, you know, it's going to be interesting matchups come Saturday night. all day Saturday. We've got great lineups. Hoops Tracker will be there at the Coliseum. We will be covering, doing interviews. Remember, Hoops Tracker not only is your source for Colorado basketball, but it is playoff central. We wish everyone well. Good luck tonight between Falcon and Mountain View. The winner gets to make it to the Elite Eight in the Coliseum on Saturday. And with that, we're out. Have a great one.